I think if you start talking, the camera will correct itself. If not, we'll.
Great. I trust you, camera. Eventually it'll, maybe, who knows? Okay, well, we'll start, and if it corrects itself, it does. Thanks for coming to February's Inclusivity Committee meeting. We have it looks like a short agenda, but it is sizable as far as what we're going to chat about. So just to cover what we're going to go over, we'll do attendance and introductions. We'll approve the minutes from last month's meeting. If there are any announcements, go over those. We have 3 items of business, and then we can discuss any additional topics for next month's agenda. So I will start us off with attendance. We'll go around the room and then we'll check in online. And Jessica is reminding me that it is 5:34 for the record. I'm Amanda Polly, she, her. Yeah.
Jen Amador, she, they.
Jane Sherwood.
Anda Sidorin, she, her.
I'm Jenna Fisher. Bethany Harvey, she, her.
Chris Workman.
And Jessica Andrade, she, they.
It's like we don't have anybody online at the moment, so we will jump into things. First item on our agenda is approval of minutes. Do anyone notice anything that's needed to be updated for the record?
I don't know if it necessarily needs to, but to clarify, on page 2 of 3, lines 8 through 9, it talks about the Benton County Historical Society fundraiser, and it doesn't have a date, and so it's all day on January 28th, which already happened, so
Yeah.
don't really know if it matters. Is it worth editing, Chris?
I don't think it's really worth editing. But
Okay, just kidding then.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm good.
Okay. I didn't have anything I noticed either, so if everyone is okay. Good? Good. Yeah, cool. And we have approved the minutes for last month. Does anyone have any announcements for this meeting that aren't in the items that are already on the agenda?
I have one. I just want to take advantage of having a public meeting, be able
Please
to talk about
do.
it.
Yes.
So the March on Hunger canned food drive is coming up, not necessarily pertaining to this committee, but I'll just get it out there. So March 7th is when the notices go out, and then March 14th will be collection day. So if you get the notice, you can just put any groceries you want into a bag, set it out front side of your door on Saturday the 14th. And there'll be a whole bunch of volunteers that want to meet here. If you want to help collect, just come here that Saturday morning, I think from 8 to 9 for kind of some introductory stuff and orientation. And then crews will be out Saturday morning, the 14th, to collect. So that's a big event. Last year, they collected a ton of food. This year, they've just been collected even more food. So
It's fun. You get a little map of a neighborhood. You get a neighborhood assignment, and then you get to drive around. And
How do they hand out the notices?
I think the notices go out to everybody in the city and surrounding areas, or is it just Philomath?
mostly city proper,
Yeah.
like the main streets. I mean, I don't think we distinguish between city and urban growth boundary, but
Yeah.
all of the main streets. And actually, we do go out to the urban growth boundary, we go outside of just city proper because we go clear up into West Hills. And
Is this the one that that they hand the bags out for, the specific bags?
they're not doing bags this year just because it was more hassle than it was
Yeah.
worth. And most people have whole bags, garbage bags or whatever. So yeah, they're just doing flyers on doors.
Cool.
And it's with PCS and
So,
them?
Yep, it's through Film Community Services. But it's Diane Crocker and Teresa Nielsen, 2 city council members that are kind of heading it up in collaboration with PCS. I think there's a couple church groups that are helping sort everything, either that, I think that day of the 14th, so everything comes into a location and it all gets sorted. Your noodles and your sauces and your canned meats and whatever. That was fun. It was like literally being in the inside of an ant hill. It was like every ant had someplace to go and somewhere they were going, and we were all just crossing paths like everywhere. It was very, very chaotically organized. We're like, everybody knew exactly where they were going, but it was like everybody's going different directions. It was really kind of fun. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for letting me take a little time for a not so associated announcement, but that's a big event for the community and much needed still. So.
Awesome. Does anyone?
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say on that note, I was reminded by your email about the Transportation Safety Action Plan. If there's any place in Philomath that you think is like a traffic safety hazard, basically, there's a link on is it on this website?
City's website or the city's Facebook page. I posted yesterday, Monday, so you can find it there as well.
And yeah, you can put like a pin on a map and explain what it is that you think is a hazard / inaccessible for pedestrians. So, yeah.
That closes Saturday night. So yeah, this is kind of the last week to post stuff. So.
Awesome. All right. Anything else anyone wants to add before we get into it? All right. So the first item on our agenda is chair selection for the rest of 2026. In the packet, there's a summary just going over the responsibilities of the chair, so setting the agenda, which gets discussed in the meeting, so not necessarily creating the agenda from scratch as a single person, but from the discussions that we have in the room, taking those items, sending any materials. So within this packet, we have the community agreements document. We have a couple different calendar documents. There's a way to provide that to staff. And then, of course, running the meetings every month. So I put in here 3 different options. Currently, right now, we're doing a single chair person. So I've been doing all of that for, I think, the last year and a bit. The other option is we used to have 2 chairs that sort of shared responsibilities. So if someone was sick and couldn't be here, that person would take over the chair responsibilities. They've met and kind of gone over. Jessica and I have kind of been doing that format the last couple of meetings where we've met up and gone over what has been talked about in the meetings and kind of mapped out what the agenda should look like and collecting those materials. But if there are other options that folks think would work or would like to suggest, we can do that. Yeah, so I'll just say that I'm happy to continue chairing, but if I were to chair, I would lean more towards that co-chair sort of format, just because I'm getting married soon and doing a lot of wedding planning. I have Flown with Pride coming up that I'm putting a lot of focus in outside of this committee, and a lot of other things at work. But if there's anyone else who would like to take kind of a try at chairing or co-chairing or whatever, I'm interested to hear what folks think.
Is Jessica willing to keep?
I was gonna say, otherwise I'm default backup because I was a counselor, so.
Do you have something you wanted to add?
I was just gonna add some humor and say, you can always volunteer yourself or volunteer somebody else. If you wanna nominate somebody, then that's fair game at this point.
Well, there's volunteering and then there's being voluntold.
You can reserve the right to refuse a recommend or a nomination, but
One of the thoughts that I wrote down when I was kind of going over packet stuff was that if like, so in a scenario where I am a co-chair and Jessica is a co-chair or something, if there's somebody else on the committee that wanted to sort of dip their toes into co-chairing but didn't want to take that on, like, you know, for a few months, like how we used to rotate. So when we did the co-chair thing, it was like 3 months on, you co-chaired, and then someone else was basically, as Jen stated, sort of voluntold. Not really, but there was, you know, we were just like, we rotated and not everybody wanted to, but there was sort of this, you know, either
Okay, I guess it's my
intended,
turn.
right, so.
everybody else in the room has already done it, but you.
And, you know, if you feel guilty about that, that's kind of an internal thing, but it did happen. But I do know that, especially for me, chairing this committee has really helped me get some sort of low stakes practice at facilitating. You know, I have meetings where I come away and I'm like, that didn't go very well. I wish I had said all of these different things, but I get a chance to do it again next month, or, you know, it translates into my job where I'm doing more facilitating or whatnot. So like, I think it's a valuable skill and sort of a, not a safe place necessarily to practice, but it is a place where you're sort of surrounded by people that you know, and
We want you to succeed.
yeah. And so that was kind of my, if we went to this sort of one person or two people consistently chairing, but someone was like, actually, you know, I would really like to run a meeting next month and learn the ropes and see how it works, that might be like a way to sort of train people in, but not necessarily, you know, jump all the way in.
Or even sitting in on conversations for okay, this is how we'll, you know, the order in which we'll talk about things, this will flow into this and this. And such.
So.
And yeah,
So does anybody have an interest in chairing this year?
And not right now.
Okay.
Maybe sometime in the future, yes.
So is everyone okay with Jessica and I continuing to sort of
Co-chair?
co-chair together?
Are you two happy with that arrangement?
I
Fine
think
with
so.
that.
Yeah, we've talked about it. It has gone
Okay,
relatively okay.
so I say, because if either of you were like, no, I really don't want to do this, but I feel like I have to, I would step up. Like, I'm interested and I do have the time to do it, but also you're doing a good job at it. And if you're working well together, I don't see a reason to disrupt that.
well, as pointed out, like you can also join, and then if you decide that you do like it, then one of us can.
Yeah, 'cause even
Okay, here you go.
It sounds like a good idea just to
Yeah.
try
because then if for some reason Jessica and I both, you know,
You have a backup.
the backup
wind
of
up
the
in a
backup.
ditch somewhere, you can just
You missed that turn onto 16.
do my best.
Holly Pond is right there.
I almost just ran in there. Save that. Speaking of traffic and Paloma. Okay, so just for the state of the record, decision is that Jessica and I will continue to co-chair. Jen can meet with us when we create the agenda for next month. And then, yeah,
Great.
all in agreement.
Thank you. Yes.
Great.
Nice.
Look at that, big old.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Okay, next item on our agenda. Cruising through. Community agreements. So in the packet, I provided a little bit of information on what community agreements are and why they're important to have in groups like this. And there's a working list of community agreements that has been floating around in the Inclusivity Committee for a bit, which is attached as sort of a guide or point of reference for folks to look at when they're thinking about what community agreements we want for our committee. These are just sort of guidelines and agreements that we all decide are important for us in the room. That allows us to sort of lean on that framework if something has happened or if we're having a discussion that sort of veers somewhere or somebody is not, for whatever, like whatever we decide is sort of important for us and someone is not working within those sort of agreements, it lets us have a conversation that's not accusing them of, bad action, but kind of reminding them, hey, as a member of this group, we've all decided that this is important for us. This is how we want to do work in this room, and gives us a sort of place to point to and work from if there are any bumps or, so.
I would add that it would especially be helpful for when like a new person comes in, or like if they do come in, like you were saying, like with well, I guess in this case, if they knew something was on the agenda and came in bad faith to try to disrupt things. And so I doubt that would happen, but it's just a good way to make sure we understand how we work together, and minimizes misunderstandings, I guess.
Yeah, and this would be a document that we sort of finalize. It would go on the Inclusivity Committee webpage on the site. So if people did want to come, when they go to download the agenda, they also see sort of what they're agreeing to when they come here. We would have one or two copies in the room for guests when they came, or for us to review before the meeting, to just sort of remember what we're all doing here. So the document is attached.
It's a lot, I know, I'm sorry.
And I did say 10 to 12, and then, as it's been a while since I've looked at them, there are a lot that are very similar. And so if, I circled A, B, and C in the first one, which I think all kind of work together and could be turned into one. So we don't have to have 10 or 12. It's sort of open. I just wanted to create at least a goal for people to think about when they were looking at these.
I'll note that I didn't necessarily copy paste all of it. I don't think I did, but I definitely took a bunch of words and like phrases and stuff from various resources online. So yeah, hence why a lot of it is very like they're not quite like another way to say the same thing, but like a slightly different aspect of it.
Yeah. So
Have we read them before, like at the end of the
I think
year?
we have, I think they were in the
them.
packet. We were going to talk about them at the end of last year, and then we decided
We ran out of time.
we did, but then we also decided it would make more sense to not sort of make those decisions for the incoming.
Because this was part of that document where we had a mission.
Yeah, this is it's similar to that, but separate from it. But it was all in that one sort of who we are conversation that we had the last couple of meetings last year. So is there anyone, this is sort of a open discussion, if you want to share if there was anything that jumped out at them that they thought was important, anything that's not in this list that you think would be important for a group like ours to put onto a committed list. Chris, you have your hand up.
I'll just say I appreciate the effort putting this together. And I found it really hard to like pick some of these that I wouldn't highlight, right? It's like
Right.
all of these are solid and
Yeah.
they're great, and
That was my
I think we adopt all of them. I think they're all great, would be
I mean, yeah.
my opinion. But no, it's like I said, it's more difficult to pick ones to not do than to pick ones to do, because all of them are things that we should be striving in one way or another to do. If it was a matter of prioritizing them, I mean, I circled a few that are more important to me, but that's probably more me of things that I feel like I need to focus on, which I think a list like this naturally does, right? There's all things that I agree that as a group, we need to embody these, and as an individual, I need to focus on these 2 or 3 or 4 or 6. Anyway, that's my initial comment, I guess, is it may not be a matter of pick our top 5 and pick the top 10. It might be, does anybody have any concerns about any of these to reword or omit some for some reason, right?
I think that is a good point, yeah.
On that note, because I know we had talked about it, about like being able to have like a couple to potentially put on the agenda, like for incoming people or something like that. Maybe, it was a maybe thing, in which case, if that was the concern, if there isn't anything to remove or whatever, I guess it could be the 1, 2, 3, 4, because all the other ones underneath are kind of ways that you can treat each other and ourselves with respect, empathy, and compassion, can be brave and are open to learning, maintain personal accountability, and how we can support each other and prioritize inclusion and accessibility.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I mean, if no one has any like thoughts about it being a page and a half,
I think it's pretty
then
solid.
yeah. I think I wrote, because I thought in that first the treat each other and ourselves with respect, empathy, and compassion, I did circle A, B, and C because I sort of thought they were all sort of similar, but if we're not kind of, I think they're individual enough that if we're not omitting or removing, that I think they're all separate enough that they're, yeah, you know what I mean.
I think that's what I was looking at, is there's there was like 2 kind of similar ones, one in part 2.
Yeah, I clearly tried to cram in as much as.
On 2D is kind of similar to 4B. Like they're kind of similar. So I was like, if it's too long, then you might be able to take a couple out. They're similar in other sections. But otherwise, yeah, it's good and lays the groundwork.
Yeah, I disagree with you, Amanda, that I don't think it's particularly repetitive. Like, I do think most of these are pretty clear and cover separate points.
Yeah.
So I think like as it is, it's pretty good set of guidelines.
Great.
Yes, I agree.
I did make a note on 3C, which is where be honest and follow through with tasks you agree to take on, remain respectful of each other's time and efforts. I did want to add a caveat to that, which is because as it stands, it's like, I agreed to do this and I have to because I said I would. My caveat to that I wrote down some like language that is a little wordy, but if you cannot complete work or participate in something that you signed up for, like, of course, like communicate that to either the group you're planning with or the committee or the chairs as soon as that comes up, because like I wouldn't want someone to work on something that they don't have the time to do. But if we've already committed to doing that, we would need to find either a committee member or like community partner to sort of fill in that gap.
So be honest and follow through tasks you get to take on to the best of your abilities, communicating if you are no longer able to do so.
Yeah, I think that is really the only major thing that.
To the best of your ability.
Because be honest, to me, the be honest sounds the judgment, right? It's like if I commit to do something and I'm not able to do it, then I'm not honest anymore.
Yeah,
I think the.
So maybe just take the be honest out and just
That's a
say,
good point.
commit to do it, and if you can, because to me, it's not really an honesty issue.
Right.
I think maybe where it was maybe was be honest with yourself on what
Yeah.
you're crossed as, be honest, if you say you're gonna do it, then do it.
Yeah.
Which is a little harsh. So maybe strike the be honest, and just say follow through with tasks you agree to take on, and then the rest of the language.
To the best of your abilities.
Communicating clearly if you are not able to.
Thank you. Communicating clearly if you are not able to.
And as Jessica was saying, if we need a shorter version, the numbers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just 1, 2, 3, and 4 are great on their own.
Yep.
Cool.
To include
For
in the
more
agenda.
information on how to put this in practice.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, like, you know, if
Expand.
yeah, we're just like saying honestly, like a whole list of like how we put this in practice on the Inclusivity Committee website. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the sub notes just because like if someone comes in and my definition of support each other and prioritize, inclusion and accessibility is different for some reason, like I would want to know like what did the committee decide that meant in the moment instead of it just being. But as far as like having, yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, I think it'd be good for like, for example, rather than like expectations, because if you list it out, it sounds kind of like it's an expectation for the exact every single one, but it's like perfection, which is impossible. So
Yes.
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, listing out
Can you
the numbers and then putting like, for example, and then having the list of like ways that you can do those things, but not make it like that those are expected of everyone, because we're all human and a lot of us are still working on all these things.
I was just about to interrupt you and say, like, no. But yeah, so to clarify, so you're suggesting to have like list number 1 and then for example, or examples of how to do this, like.
Right, or even like the 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then example of how to, examples below or whatever.
Or suggestions for how to put this into practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's more kind of like not so
It's not-
serious and more kind of laid back with, because it's good ideas that's on there, but
For sure.
you don't want to limit people's input or people coming if
Sure.
they read this, it sounds kind of perfect, and that's hard to live up to.
Question. Did you see the word expectations in here also? Because if so, then maybe I wasn't sure if you had.
I just got the impression that it was
That it
like
was
these were expectations of
Well,
like,
they are agreements.
right,
So
which
I
is
think
pretty
that,
specific.
yes. So that's my point.
Yeah.
Like if we are writing community agreements and you read this, then you are kind of agreeing towards acting this way.
To strive to do it.
Yeah. Or maybe like these are the principles we strive to embody.
Yes.
Thanks.
Like an aspiration.
Yeah.
Does that sound okay to you, Jenna?
Like at the start, like these are the,
Yeah.
or like ideas that, is that what you said?
Oh, I
Right.
said, these are the principles we strive to put into practice, something like that. I don't know exactly what I said, sorry. These are the principles we strive to embody, that's what it was.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Well-being, Zoom. Anything else?
Which I was just gonna recommend or offer, once you get the wording down, if you wanna kick it over to Crystal, I'd love to have her take half an hour and maybe,
Make it pretty.
yeah, make like the 1, 2, 3, 4 stand out. The others could kind of be kind of subplots to that, so that when you're reading it, you see the 1, 2, 3, 4, you see aspirational, you see all the, community agreement, inclusivity committee, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you can kind of move to that, to the kind of the subtext of, for instance, and as an example, and whatever. So I think Crystal's got a nice graphic design template that she could probably plug this into pretty quick and make it look very Philomath Inclusivity Committee. So yeah, just kick it directly over to her. I'll let her know it's coming sometime.
Awesome, thanks.
Is there a difference between someone participating, like for the group agreement, like they're like guiding principles, if they're participating online versus in person?
That is an excellent question.
How, can you?
Yeah, like I don't, yeah. So I'm neurodivergent and I love this because I'm like, if I come in person and I've never done something before, seeing something like this ahead of time goes, cool, a little less anxious, kind of know what to do now. But if I was to do it, like participate online, I would be like, does that mean I raise my hand on the, again, I'm a literal thinker. So like, I'm like, does that mean I raise my hand? How do I make sure that I put it in the chat? Like, is there any difference in the expectation if they're online versus in the room?
So I would think that if anything, that would be like, if not like a quick little sheet of, not rules, but just kind of protocol of, or just to have it written down so that if there is someone who wants to read it, but then I think that would be on the
Like maybe when you
chairs
log
to-
into Zoom and then appears like the protocol.
Maybe that.
Well, and
I think it would be up to the chairs to kind of say it, kind of like at the beginning of, hey, we have some new people, like, this is an informal space, and we try to, like, not abide by, like, super strict rules and such, but.
I think our city recorder can help us there a little bit too. So anybody that attends online, they have to register ahead of time, so we know they're gonna be there. Because we have still the waiting room and we don't wanna let people in that we don't wanna let in. People that are gonna
right, because there's a
be
difference.
offensive or
Correct.
whatever.
There's a difference between attending as a participant on Zoom versus this streaming on YouTube live
you-
right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you wanna participate on the Zoom link, you have to contact us ahead of time so we know who you are. So that when I start the meeting, I know who the name is and I can let them into the meeting. And typically when we send that link, there's some language that the city recorder puts in there about raising your hand. She notifies like we don't use the chat when we're doing virtual because don't put it up here, so we wouldn't see it. So it's, raise your hand, wait to be called on, blah, blah, blah. So we add some of that language in there prior to the meeting. That helps, but we could probably beef that up a little bit.
And then, send the agreements.
Yeah, for this committee, we could definitely send this ahead of time.
Because I think that is separate from the protocol of like, how do I make it known that I want to say something and how do I get called on, you know what I mean? But yeah, that was a great question.
Feedback.
Yeah, I think there's one other question because my brain is kind of having issues. I kept going back and forth with whether or not this should be part of the handbook or if it should be its own document. And so this paragraph at the beginning, lines like 2 through 7, was what I had taken from the handbook, and I can't remember if I left that in there or not as context. But I guess opinion on whether it should be there separate or both, like, and unless that's a kind of STEM logic thing.
In my opinion, I think it makes sense to have it in the handbook, because that's where I would go looking for something, or expect to see something like this, but
But then
I think it makes sense to have a one pager as well, that we could just hand to people
Okay.
or have available, I don't know, we print this off and give it to everybody every meeting, but I think we could print them off and have
yeah.
them, like with the sign-up sheet or whatever, or the sign-in sheet by the door of somebody coming in, so they kind of set expectations a little bit for folks.
Okay. Thank you.
But I like the idea of having it in the handbook, and it's, I think, a good preservation place to keep it. And
Okay.
I agree.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess I was thrown off when I read the last sentence in that paragraph of like, these agreements are located in a separate document and shall be revised annually.
You can just delete disagreements. You can delete are located in a separate document. Just leave there shall be revised annually.
I've been working with a lot of kids today and I'm slower than normal, so thank you for your patience.
Okay. So. Discussion. Are there any,
Final.
is there anything that you think is not covered as a committee, like member or, participant, that you read these and wish were covered, or, it's 6 p.m. brain talk? Is there anything, as someone who spends time in this space, that you wish to see sort of in this document that's not already there? Great.
Cool beans, yeah.
Okay, so then the plan for this will be to take the few language changes that we've talked about. We will send a finalized Word document to Crystal. Crystal will work her crystal magic, and
I'll send her the handbook too.
Yeah,
Because
and she
I
can-
need to.
and then once we have a nice polished finished document, we can just add that to the packet just for everyone to ooh and ah over, and then
Inevitably find edits that
Yeah.
we need to make.
the joy of a living document.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's as we're working together over the course of the year, if things change on this and we have a consensus that something should be added, or something that is here is kind of holding us back, or, there's something about it that needs to change, we can always have that conversation.
Or at least write it down to add to the
Next year.
conversation if the timing isn't right.
A question, when we say we should revise this annually, are we also going to revise the handbook? Or
That one's also a living document, and I can't remember what I wrote in there about whether it's, I think it's like revisiting it. So maybe I should, whatever language is in the handbook, kind of put something about revisiting to see if there's anything to change, because hopefully we're not revising it every year.
yeah, just revisiting maybe, and maybe consider I'm just thinking in the calendar, because we're going to plan what we're doing for the rest of the year, and just thinking when would we check on that,
Yeah,
November or February?
the way I at least think about it is like for me, this seems like we tried to do it at the end of the year last year because I was like, oh, we want it to be in place and ready for the next, for
New calendar
it to
year.
start and just
New
hit the
people
ground
coming
running.
in.
But I do think that because we did so much work on it before, it sort of feels like one of those things you would do in January although it's hard because appointments sometimes roll into February, but
Yeah, January, February. right?
yeah, it would be something that the new folks in the room would get a chance to discuss. And we could kind of talk about what we were thinking. Like, I'm gonna make a note now that to the handbook, we'll go back and change sort of how the chair structure is, because we just decided that even though we had it different when we last revised it, so we'll just make a note to what we just done, the co-chair situation, how that looks in case someone wants to come to committee meetings and be a chair, they would know how that currently works.
And I can make the language more flexible too.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I kind of like that it's like reviewed annually, because then it's not like we're gonna look at it and revise it. It's like we're gonna review it. It's kind of more of a training opportunity to kind of refresh it in our minds, and then also to refresh it as needed if it needs to be revised in any way. But
Right, and then, in the handbook, we have our mission, our vision, and the goals that are very broad. And so we start the year with reviewing our materials and then have a conversation about our goals, sort of like council, how they do with strategic plan. It lets us pretty easily say, hey, like, we've had this list of stuff that we've been wanting to work on, we didn't get to it last year, or we've been having conversations. I think it, isn't sort of a pump up kind of activity.
Is that how it works for the social media posts and stuff too, that it's kind of reused from the previous year that?
Not typically, yeah, and we can talk about that in the next agenda item, and I can answer that a little more directly. But that will sort of be up to us to decide what we want that to look like. But typically, in the past with social media posts, we have really emphasized creating new ones instead of reusing old ones. So we can talk about that.
I feel like normally when we have reused them, it's because something happened and we weren't able to get it posted originally. Or in the case of last month, just that like the prior meeting was October. And so and we didn't assign anyone to like make a new post. So it was like, well, we should have something, I guess.
Okay, so if we don't have anything else to talk about regarding community agreements, we can actually just roll into the next section of the agenda. So take us right to 7, maybe not right to 7, but this is the last thing on our agenda aside from talking about potential agenda items for next month. So committee working goals. So this is based on a calendar that had been filled out by previous members several years ago that worked all the way into 2026, which I believe is included. So the first calendar is has 25, 26, 27. 26 is not filled out on that calendar, but the table calendar is what had been created in 2023. And so in that 2026 column, there are some things that the previous members had planned on doing, including 2 proclamations that we don't have currently in our
And there were some
archive.
things in 2020, or do you mean in 2025? So like the
Oh, yes,
proclamation
that
for
kind of got rolled over.
Holocaust remembrance.
And so tying into Jenna's question about reusing social media posts, how proclamations work is that we have a proclamation that has been written for a specific event or sort of heritage recognition. Those tend to get edited, whether there's a theme change, the way we did with the Women's History proclamation from last month, or completely revamped depending on what the committee decides on. But generally, those stay pretty similar, aside from a few annual tweaks to like make it more relevant to the year that we're posting it in. We do not have a Holocaust Remembrance Day proclamation. We do not have a National Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month proclamation. And we don't have a National Disability Employment Awareness Month proclamation.
I think we do, actually.
I didn't see one, but it was on the list of like future, but I don't know if we have one. But if we do, we can check. And then there has been work and conversation happening regarding a second Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month event.
Sorry, for Women's District, don't we have a proclamation?
We did, yeah, we did it.
Oh, there's just not an icon on the calendar.
Yeah, I think that I'm not sure, and we just did one, so
Not everything got,
Feel that
Yeah.
here?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
so this first one is inaccurate.
Yes, because for instance, for a Holocaust, there's not one, right?
Yeah.
And there's
And this second one is also inaccurate, but it was the plan originally.
this calendar.
The table one, yeah.
Okay.
So
A little confusing.
So we
Really-
wanted to focus on 2026 and just see what we want to,
yeah,
Well-
so the question was sort of,
And then also, oh, sorry, do you want to talk about this?
no, yeah.
No, okay.
So the question initially, before we start talking about goals and plans for the year, is if these 4 things are still things that we want to commit to doing this year. And if yes, we need to assign volunteers to work on those things. Or
I'm sorry, could you clarify which one?
on the packet under upcoming recommended work. So there's 3, so there's 3 proclamations in the event.
Okay, these 4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm with you.
You're
Sorry.
with me. Okay. So if we want to still do those for this year,
Plus all the social media. posts.
well, yeah, we can. And then, and you wanted to add something to that?
To that part of it,
When you're talking about social media?
oh, no, I just meant because we have social media posts on here as well as like options. And we
Well-
have banners for a lot of the months, but we don't have them for all of them. But so I guess, because the way we had talked about it when we were planning it was kind of like, what do we want to do? Especially with regards to this calendar, like this is what we have been doing. And if we decide that we still want to proceed with all of it or with some of it, then we got to think about April and May because we have a 3-month window. So if it's February, we took care of March, we have April, and we have May. And in which case we would need to get someone working on the proclamation for April and have it ready to go essentially at our next meeting, so that it can get sent to council. And then we would also need someone to get started on the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month proclamation. And probably start initial planning perhaps for the event. But anyway, so I thought that the question was kind of more of, do we want to continue with the calendar? If so, how do we want to do it? And then, because we've been doing the same event or the same recognitions, and there had been talk of potentially doing something different and like switching them out, in which case there's this additional calendar. I made it 2026 to 2030 calendar. It's the original calendar that started these other calendars, except I updated it to have the next 5 years of whatever like floating recognitions there are. So like Lunar New Year, there's like those dates there for the next, from 2026 to 2030. And then I also added a couple more that I found out about recently. And so like this is just I described it as like a menu of options. And so this is just a reminder that like, because I know there's been discussion about like, yes, we want to highlight our uniqueness, the uniqueness of different lived experiences and identities and everything. And do we want to keep doing the same select like 12 or so? I think it's more like 15 probably. Or do we also, or like assuming we proceed with this calendar idea, do we want to perhaps do some new ones? But this is just an idea, a resource to use for that. And then also for like, oh, hey, you know what? I am really interested in National Deaf History Month, and I want to do something related to that. And so let's come up with something that we can add to our like list of whether or not we want to do something related to that now or next year or something like that, like in the planning of what our goals, like our tangible goals, rather than these broad kind of. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure if I said it in a way that made sense.
I'm with you.
Cool.
I feel like it would be good if it was like something that would be like a certain like approved post that you're like, yes, this sounds good for this topic, but then making it more sustainable where we didn't have to approve it every single month and go through like, is this what we want to post? It just seems like there's a lot of like, you gotta approve things every single month, and it would be, because if you could make like this sustainable where you're like, okay, we've got these figured out, then you have more opportunity to be like, okay, well, what could we add something in for this and create something for other things, so it's not just redoing. I don't know why they have to be changed every single year.
Why? What has to be
They
changed
had
every single
your like social media posts. You were saying
No,
before
Oh,
that
yeah.
they
Didn't
had
have any
changed, or they're like,
Gotcha.
you guys want to change them every year.
The initial kind of thoughts on that were just the intentionality of it, not wanting to just kind of throw up a, social media post that's generic and where the so what part of it isn't there. Like if you're able to connect it to maybe things that are happening in the community, like our Pride post, we highlighted the fact that the community's was planning a Philomath Pride, and like here's the information about it, or like to connect it to local history or some other event that another organization's holding. So I think that was the original intent for changing the social media post.
Like linking it to events.
And yeah, and anything else. Well, I guess that's an event, anything else going on.
And I think that if it were me and I wasn't in this room and I followed like the city social media and I saw, like, as a queer person, if I saw the same Pride post 2 years in a row, I would be annoyed.
Yeah.
It would feel very much like lip service, like that I wouldn't know that they used the same thing twice, or like, I don't know, because to me, the purpose of social media is it's, a marketing tool, it's a storytelling tool, it's to like learn about the people in your community, which,
And Ella.
It's because I've given a lot of thought to this
Yes, I love it.
calendar. Well, the first thing I want to say is that having this thinking in advance, like when do we need to prepare for this, is very useful. So if we consider like that now is February and we should be planning for April, that gives us the idea that then in March we should be thinking about May, in April we should be thinking about June, and that helps us a lot to focus what are we working on. And then I really like this calendar because I like the idea that inclusivity is looking to expand the awareness of the community about all of these issues. And I think we could set like a minimum of acknowledgement for all of these and maybe add some more. I would be the idea of like the more the better, because this is what inclusion is about. And then we could set like a minimum of what are we willing to do for that. And a post on Facebook seems to be like the minimum thing. And I understand that some people might feel like if you repost the same thing, but at the same time, I think we need to make it sustainable for us. And so we could agree on like what can be repeated regularly or the next year. And then we will be looking at it with 3 months in advance. So maybe we will connect it with something happening in the community, like not just do it without working on it, but also have a commitment, I guess, for like we are going to use the banners we have and we are going to post something on social media. And that, I think, it doesn't seem to be too much work if we divide it and if we have sort of like the gist of what we want to say about each one of these, and then modify it, make it more current.
I think what you're trying to get at is it would help if we had a template for social media posts. So that we have something for each one of these things that we decide, but we have a banner for. Because if we have a banner for it, as a citizen of Philemon, it's like, that's a cool banner. What does it mean? And obviously, if we have a template for what like appropriate language is, whatever, we can start something easily, and then we can do things like update images or put dates in if it's about Philemon's Pride or the Hispanic Heritage like event, right? But having that template and having it be like, here's where we start from, we can change it year after year, but we're not changing the whole fucking thing. Like we can do the little bits that need to get changed. We can update images or whatever if we want to. That reduces the burden on us, and it does mean that when it's like, okay, well, it's February now, and we want to have something this year for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Who's going to do it? We could be like, all right, well, here's the template for it. Oh, this mentions an event that was happening in Salem, but obviously it's on a different date this year. Let's update that. Or maybe like, oh, I found some good photos. Let's put those in instead.
I like simplifying it.
Yeah.
A brand guide.
Because there's no reasoning why these are picked out as the priority.
And just the last thing that I wanted to say about it is that, and then the events are, like if there's somebody that is willing to organize and to commit, because of course it requires more work, maybe Diane had mentioned that she would like to have volunteers at the farmers market. And then I was thinking that maybe we also need to recruit some volunteers for events if we need. So it's not all on us that we feel like we need to prepare an event for all of these things, but maybe just an acknowledgement, a recognition, like what is the minimum that we're willing to do for this event.
So to clarify, what I'm hearing is that people still want to do this calendar, at least with social media posts. I haven't heard anything about proclamations yet, I think. At least with social media posts and banners, and that to help make things easier, but still being able to to make things easier, have a template of sorts, and to have kind of not plug and play, but like for an event or for photo changes or a fact about whatever.
Yeah, I mean, a good template, and I've made a bunch of these, is not going to be something where it's literally like, okay, so this is the text, copy paste it onto Facebook, and then you're good to go. It's going to be like, okay, the post should be structured like this. Here's the language that probably stays the same. You know, like the city of Philomath is like excited to recognize whatever Heritage Month or whatnot, or Day of Remembrance, or like, you know, Women's History Month or Deaf History Month or whatever it is. So it's like a suggestion about like how it opens, and then something like, here is a good place to like put a fact about like how it started or whatever, or and then something at the bottom like, and if there are any upcoming events, like this is the place to list them. It's not going to be literally like copy paste this text. It's like, here is how the post should be structured.
Yes, I get that part. I guess what I'm trying to make sure I understand here for the whole, like, the planning of like our actions and like what tangible things we want to be doing, because that's kind of the overarching conversation that we're having is, so from what I hear, it sounds like we want banners and we want social media posts, knowing that there's going to be this template so that we can potentially add more. Does that all sound right? And do we want to follow this this current calendar? Do we want to add more? I guess, that's what I was gonna do. I just had a thought. Anyway, but I guess we can get to that later. I guess regarding proclamations, do we want?
I have a question about or a thought about the proclamations. We take a look at them, the ones that we already have, and if they need to be, if any information or anything needs to be added to them, that's where we work on updating the proclamation, that particular one. We don't change the proclamations all the time. We just add information if we want to add to a one already in place.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So there are two on the list that we don't have. The other two, we have the Disability Employment Awareness Month was 2022 was the last time we updated it.
Okay, so you do have one.
I was like, I'm
We do,
pretty
it's
sure we have
2022.
it. Thank you.
And then the Hispanic and Latino heritage,
We have
we
have that.
updated in 2023.
Yeah, the one
I
that,
made that one.
yeah, the
One missing is
that's for the event, that on the agenda is to talk about that event. But now that you've said that we have that proclamation, the only other two that we don't have that we need to create from scratch are the Holocaust Remembrance Day and the Asian American and Pacific
Correct.
Islander.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then the other item on here is the event. So,
The question is, do we want to add proclamation?
I'll say, just for transparency, we do not have a framework for the Holocaust Remembrance Day, which means it would have to be made from scratch, and it would have to come to the committee at our next meeting,
Mostly formed.
mostly formed, and which is not undoable. It's an easy thing to do.
Proclamations is typically copy and paste.
And I was going to ask him and I completely forgot, but I'm gonna see if, and if you're listening, Christopher, I'm gonna text you about this. Christopher McMorrin, when he was on the committee, was sort of our proclamation guru.
That's a good point.
He's very good at proclamations. And so I was going to ask if he would be willing to look over any that we created and make any edits or changes. I'm sure he would not say no, but maybe.
I could work on the Holocaust proclamation with somebody else. So,
What are the benefits of the proclamations? Just because I have no idea what the
Information
goal,
sharing.
what's the goal of them?
sorry, it's linked to this question about like what is the purpose of that?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to mention that because we were thinking about a Hispanic event, and we decided that it's not necessarily for the people that identified with having a Hispanic heritage. That we're thinking more to bring awareness to the community in general. And so I'm wondering if some of this thing that we do here is not directly to that community,
Right.
but more like to the others to learn about the other.
Yeah.
That's correct. That's pretty, I'm under the impression, please correct me if I'm wrong, that most proclamations are just information sharing, even regardless of whether you knew about it or not. It's a teaching tool and also a way to solidify any like actions that you're taking, like, and to honor the sacrifices that were made by, oh, sorry, I was thinking veteran. Okay. But like, you know, to honor like, you know, like those kinds of things, like in memory of these, like we're going to have a rose garden or like.
It gives historical context.
It's like an official statement from the city.
It's historical context, but also the like commitment part to it, like, and the city commits to.
Yeah, so they go to the city council. So this body has traditionally prepared them.
That's right.
They go to the city council, then they're read, they're approved by the city council by way of resolution, and then they're read in the city council meeting for that month. And again, they do typically reference any events that are happening or things surrounding that are local. Sometimes they've been very specific and recognized like individuals in the community. I think it's just like veterans that have been called out by name, and then we've kind of generalized them more so we don't have to recreate them every year. But they really are just an educational tool and awareness tool.
I didn't grow up here, so I don't know what, I never, proclamations were not.
Yeah, and
I swear.
you know, that might share, I think one of the concerns with the proclamation is there's been some consensus that if we just do the proclamation, that's not enough, right? Like, we're not just saying, it's Veterans Awareness Month, congratulations, everybody, thanks for your service, and that's it. Like, we should be doing, like, the proclamation is like the minimum, right? A banner that raises awareness is like, okay, that's better, like, that's the next step. Social media posts should be pretty specific, like for that year, like here's the events happening surrounding this, the library's got special books, whatever is happening, it needs to be informative about like that, what's happening that year, whether it's an event or specific things happening or special awareness, or maybe it is like an individual of the community that you can highlight, obviously with their permission, talk through it. So I think the social media post is an opportunity to be a little more specific than if you're gonna have an event, that's, again, we can't do events every month. But if we're gonna, you know, do an event 2 or 3 times a year, then that would be even better, right? Because now you're not just proclaiming it and putting a banner up and talking on social media, you're actually holding an opportunity for education and learning and community gathering and whatever that might be. So there's kind of degrees how I see that of kind of what the city's doing about it, the so what. But there's going to be some months that that's all we can do is do the proclamation and a social media post, and we don't have a banner and we don't have some other stuff, but you know, that's what we're going to do, and we're going to raise awareness what we can, and we're planning a really cool thing for next month. And so these are kind of staggered a little bit in the past. I'm looking at the back page of the packet. You can kind of see how the events at least are a little bit separated out and things. So I like that. My other 2 cents, as long as I've got the microphone, is the banners that we did weren't free. We did spend money on those banners. So I'd recommend trying to get a few years out of those before we, you know, switch the focus for that month. And really, we've not been doing these for that long to where people are like, oh, again.
Yeah.
But I think that there's the ones we specifically have banners for, I would recommend that we strongly consider continuing with those. And then where there's ones we don't have banners for, we don't have a lot, then, you know, we can look back and refer back to the list of maybe other things to recognize. But obviously, there's things in here that are like, yeah, we need to do that. And others where I'm like, no offense, but like Irish American Heritage Month, it's like, I don't know that Philomath generally has a large push for that. And so that compared to like Women's History Month, I'm like, I think we should do Women's History Month probably for quite a while until such time that the Irish take over Philomath and they demand, no, we have a Irish American Heritage Month instead of Women's History Awareness Month, just for that month.
So I do have a question, maybe I've asked this before. And I might regret asking this, but if there were, you know, so we have banners for certain things, but if we have a banner, but we also want to highlight something else that is not attached to that banner, if the committee were to like do 2 things a month, like maybe not every month, but like if we had 2 people who really wanted to write social media posts for 2 things a month, and we gave that content to Crystal, there's nothing stopping us from doing multiple posts a month?
No, not at all. The social media posts will be fine. The banners, that's a little bit more
Right.
work for Public Works to get the
No,
truck
I-
out.
yeah, I
and
wouldn't-
stuff. And events, I think we'd want to be careful.
Right.
But no, I think the social media posts, and then traditionally, just, we've got a few new people. Traditionally, we've asked, like we look at the calendar, it's like, these are coming up, does anybody want to take this on? It's not like we all kumbaya and do it in the meeting. Typically, it's done outside of the meeting ahead of time, like preparing the proclamation. And somebody would volunteer, and then they would bring that to that next meeting and say, here's what I prepared, let's get some feedback. We get consensus on it, and then we move it on to the city council. So it's not a lot of work group stuff that we're doing here, and even preparing the social media post, I think we would, again, look for volunteers, and if it was, you know, one of the ones that wasn't maybe like the main one we were doing the banner for, but somebody wanted to do a social media post for Irish American Heritage Month, because I used to have red hair and I've got Irish hair, you know, I've got some heritage there. If I was really into that and I wanted to prepare something, then I would bring it to the meeting and say, how do you guys feel about this? And does it meet our template for enough information? And we'd run with it. So I think it's fine. I'm not worried about that level of like staff work or involvement. It's just a posting and it's gonna take 5-10 minutes. So that's fine.
Okay, so Alba has said that
Holocaust?
yes. Is there anyone who wants to assist working on that? Jane and Alba,
With a proclamation?
yes.
Mr. Furrier, off the hook.
I can still review it.
Make sure it's in a.
You're not, don't listen to him.
I'm protecting him. He's got a new job.
So,
When, for the next meeting?
yeah, so we'll have a almost final draft for next meeting. We'll review it. If there are any language changes or sort of nitpicky wordsmithing, we would do that in the meeting. Agree on the final product, and then that would be sent to council for their April meeting.
And then on that note, we would need someone to at least start thinking about the May proclamation, because the way we had planned it originally was build in at least 2 meetings to look at it if need be, so that if everyone agrees that we want to include another whereas clause, then about a specific thing, but they don't have the language written out, then we can go home, think about it for a month, come back and like still have time to be able to approve it and stuff. So it would be great if we could get someone to have, let's see, if it's May, we would be approving it in April. So then it would be awesome if we had at least a first draft next meeting. If anyone's interested.
National Asian American.
And
Yeah, Asian American
Islander
Heritage
Heritage Month.
And we have,
Then I'll assist you.
yeah.
You should
Volunteer
assist.
again. And we do have versions, and
You're wonderful.
if there's anybody else like who wants to be part of that,
Content,
there,
yes.
yeah, doesn't just have to be those two.
Yes.
Yeah,
Especially if you're interested in learning about it, but don't necessarily, or about writing proclamations, but don't necessarily feel comfortable saying, yes, I want to help do this.
And definitely Google search these. I wouldn't say
Yes.
AI them, but definitely Google search them, because there's federal and state and other cities, and there's a lot of good templates out there, and then you can polymathize it
The president's.
accordingly.
And
You never have to start from scratch.
we have our own archive and files
Yeah,
on the website. We can.
because we don't have, we
don't
have
have
examples of other proclamations.
Okay.
We might actually have social media posts for these two things that you could reference to see what we've talked about in the past, and I can get those to you if you want them. Yeah. Okay.
Did they volunteer for proclamation and social media, or just proclamation?
Proclamation, some
Yeah.
push your luck.
Well, this is,
Now, if anyone wants to do social media
Well-
posts, so
so I'm volunteering Jessica and I for social media
Oh,
because our homework for the next meeting is that when we're working with Jen, or while we're doing our
to make a
packet,
template.
we're gonna work on a template.
Okay.
We'll bring that back for review along with a completed social media post using the template, and we can tweak that, and, yeah.
That's great.
Amanda,
Thank you, Jen.
identify.
Yeah.
So
right? It's like template. Yeah, you don't,
I mean, if the three of us are working on it, we could do April and May.
Yeah.
true. Okay, so we'll do, yep.
And do we want to look at this calendar to see if there's something that really pops or?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Is this listed anywhere in the?
This, no, this is new. Because it was updated and such, but we can, if we think it's useful to be on the safe side, but I
I
don't.
feel like picking out like what's important to us. You know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no. Well, I mean, it's a great way to like kind of approach other people in the community to figure out what's important to them as well. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do like all of them now, or if you just want to look at the next couple of months, or I think it'd be good to jump out. I will note in April, we also do our tree heritage. We do Arbor Day and our tree heritage, not tree heritage, but it's our Arbor Day and our Tree City USA celebration stuff. So we have some additional, we have a proclamation that month with Arbor Day, and we do some additional postings and stuff already that month for Arbor Day and Tree City USA and all that stuff.
I guess what I would say is that for now, if you have anything for April or May that you would like to pursue, have it ready by next
Aren't
meeting.
we doing,
Well, if
I
you want to
guess
do
if there's
the
additional,
additional,
yeah.
like social media posts and then I think the rest we can kind of each meeting probably go, hey, 3 months from now it's June or August or November or something, like, if there's any additional social media posts, like, let's reference this and take a look at.
If there's something that would interest us now, could we just mention it to see if we are all, if there's more than one person interested or curious in that?
Well, so I guess I don't,
Or next time?
so I don't think this is necessarily something we really need to plan out right now for social media posts, because these are supplemental to what the calendar is. And so, like, as long as the people who are interested, like, and like we revisit it each month, I would think that like that would be when the plan, like oh, hey, by the way, I'm interested in this. I want to do the social media posts. 3 months from now, I'll have something next meeting. Because I think the bigger thing here is that, like, yes, the calendar is great. It has a lot of benefits for, different reasons. It's one tool of many. And so, like, since we're talking about like goals and actions for the year, I know that I would actually like to do something that is definitely not on here. And that would be kind of like revisiting the conversation about the age-friendly cities and kind of looking at exploring like at least one of the suggestions that they have on there to try to on their program with the
One of the 8 domains.
Yeah, exactly. Like looking at one of the domains and like looking at one of their suggestions and trying to figure out what that looks like and talking with staff when able to, and whether it's looking at like existing policies regarding something or I don't know what, because I'm not that familiar with it.
yeah, and then that's something we could easily do, maybe do a recap. Maybe the two of you could lead a discussion at a future meeting, sort of going over what the age-friendly communities stuff is, how, like that framework, and how we're not doing AARP, but we, like the general principles are useful for inclusivity in the city, sort of do a crash
What the
course
city
on
is
that.
also doing
Yeah.
already.
Like the addition of the sensational senior society, thank you. Like I think that is one of the actions and one of the domains kind of like you identified what types of resources there are here in the community and identified something that was lacking and you created it. And so like, that's awesome. And like, being able to kind of slowly continue to work on that. So that's something I'm interested in, if anyone else is interested in it too. Just in general, I'm trying to get like I would like to try to kind of write up some sort of work plan, like a very general work plan to be able to like help plan our agendas, kind of like, oh, hey, we said we wanted to do this thing, but we have all of these calendar things, or we have this other.
Well, I think there are topics that are not expressed in the calendar.
Oh, for sure. And that's what I'm getting at,
Yes.
is that like, we had to have the conversation about the calendar because that was such a big thing, and wanting to reevaluate, like review, figure out like, how do we feel about it? Do we want to change anything, et cetera, et cetera? And so now stepping away from that, because like I said, I think the rest of the planning for supplemental social media posts can come with time. And so, yeah, be sure if you're interested in any of the April or May, whatchamacallit, observances, and you want to make a social media post for it, have it ready for next meeting and like let us know.
Yeah, and just sort of like logistically, if there is something that like, so when you're writing your proclamations to be reviewed next month, like I do the packet in theory.
The week
I would want it the
before.
Monday before so the third Monday of the month.
So it would have been last Monday.
Yeah. That way I have time to be like, gather that all together and drop that into a folder for Crystal with enough advance
Notice.
Same with social media posts, any images that you find or generate, those would get sent to either Jessica or myself, and we would submit those for the packet. Chris?
Jane.
I think Jane had a question.
I was just gonna say, we have to remember too that we didn't have a calendar when we began a few years ago, several years ago. So the calendar kind of helped us bring together our ideas and gave us a working platform to go from. Not that that's the end. It was just, it was a way to build what we were doing.
Yes.
At the time when we didn't have a directive.
Yes.
Can we talk about March? Because I feel like we skipped over a little bit. Are we doing
Well, we
anything
can't for March because we already did the proclamation and
what
it's
proclamation did we
For
do?
women?
Women's History Month
Women's History Month.
When did we do it?
We updated
last
it, didn't
meeting.
we? Yeah.
When you weren't here.
I should be posted.
Okay, so the city council has it already.
Did Chelsea?
Maybe we can follow up. I'm pretty sure we did the.
Do we have a
Alright.
social media post?
No, it's just a proclamation.
Okay, does somebody want to do a social media post for March?
I don't have the capacity for that.
I'm sure I could probably do it.
I can probably help you with that.
As long as everyone's okay with whatever we write.
Well, I can also email it to everybody and you can individually reply to me. Yeah, don't reply all on any emails that come to you for.
Yes. Does the meeting end?
Public meetings last.
Yeah,
It's gonna end now.
We're wrapping
But
up.
basically,
But I wanted to add
Yeah.
something to what you were saying
Uh-huh.
about other items that are not
Yes.
the calendar. The 2050 vision. We wanted to think, maybe, I don't know if somebody from the Inclusivity Committee is going to participate in that. But one item that I think I would like to present is the recognition of the land, in the indigenous land. Is something
Land
we
acknowledgement
could
type
talk
thing.
about, and maybe for the 2050 vision, there could be some sort of a sign somewhere in the city. I don't know. Maybe we need to talk about that.
I hate land acknowledgements, sorry. I have big feelings about them, so it's like, I understand the intention. I think that is probably worth talking about in another meeting, and I do like that it's more than just, and we'll say this, and that'll be it, like having a sign about who previously lived here, great. Connecting with the history of the community.
It's part of, it's in our, in one of the list of items, it says there that part of this committee is to learn about the history of indigenous people.
And I think in the committee, God, it's been a long day. I'm blanking on the handbook that we've been putting together. We do have an acknowledgement there as well. So tying that to the city, having something in the city park or whatever would be very cool. Yeah, I hate land acknowledgements that are not followed up with concrete action because they're meaningless.
Okay.
And then we're gonna wrap up. Can I go back to March?
Yep, you can.
March is next week, and so we'll make sure we're not skipping. I apologize, wasn't here last month. But proclamation's done. I'll double check. Amanda, you were gonna do the social media and just get that to Crystal directly. We trust your judgment.
Yeah, I have access to the folder where they get dropped.
Okay.
Yep.
And then do we want to this is more open. Do we want to do anything other than
No.
have a proclamation and talk about Women's History Month on social media?
What do you mean, do anything?
I don't want to do anything.
I mean, I'm a woman and I can go stand in public and talk about Inclusivity Committee.
How about if,
I'm woman adjacent, I would stand with you.
what if, I'm throwing an idea, what if we set a date and time where we would invite all of the, I mean, we can't do everybody, right? But if we did like all of our women city council members, park board members, like anybody who like volunteers on a city board, commission, whatever, and we said, hey, you're all welcome to come for, you know, Women History Month and acknowledgement, we're gonna try to get a photo of as many of the women that are volunteering for city services, city committees, whatever, as possible. We know we won't get everybody to show up on this night, we're gonna do a photo and we're gonna attach that to our social media post.
That's a cool idea.
That is a cool idea.
I mean, to me, it's something that's a little more meaningful than a generic picture of,
Is that something we
Women's
could
History
do, because Women's History Month is a whole month, so we could maybe do a post at the beginning of March saying, mid-March, we're doing this
Mhm.
at like 5:30 or something.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it's a little nuanced because yes, we want to do things for the entire community, but also as a city, I think it's nice like we acknowledge the work that
I
women
think
volunteers are doing for the city,
Yeah.
specifically like our committees and our councils and our all our stuff. So we can go bigger. I just worry then you start losing people, right? Because like, oh, everybody else is going to show up.
Could you make it like a selfie that they send in so that then it would create like a collage of the faces? Because if they're already spending time volunteering, to add another date into their calendars, it's like,
More people.
or like, yeah, like their happy faces or whatever. And so they,
Together is the idea.
I mean, yeah,
That's a good point too.
but it's kind of March is next week, so
Maybe it could
it's
be both.
also.
With both,
Yeah.
like those two cannot attend, they can be added to this.
Yeah, or I just mean like, it could be a collage, but then we can also take a photo as we all like get together and like, hey, we're like civic nerds and.
I just like any opportunity that I have as the city manager to thank our volunteers. I was thinking of it as an opportunity to like thank them and ask them to
Right.
send me a photo doesn't do that, but like.
I
have
guess,
an
like, what else would you
opportunity
do when they were here to get it? To,
Like-
You incentivize it to talk to
yeah, like you can, Andy.
Then,
Yes,
a thank you of some sort. But I like your idea of making it available that they can participate even if they can't come to the event. So I'm kind of at setting a date, maybe not like forever out, but maybe like the end of the first week, maybe like a Wednesday night or a Thursday evening-ish that makes it easy for people to get here. And do a little event. We could have a little thank you from the city for volunteering, which we would have for everybody. We'd get it to them whenever, but for that night, we would have them there for the night. Whoever can come, do a group photo. And prior to that, the week before, we'll let people know this is what it is, this is when we're having it. If you're not able to make it, please do a selfie and bring it. We're gonna include you in a collage photo that we're gonna put on social media for our kind of appreciation of Women's History Month. Because we want to acknowledge the work that's being done now, not just that happened 20 years ago, right? Does that work for everybody?
Yeah,
Is it inclusive enough? We're excluding the school district and everybody else, but
we're
I'm
excluding
okay
the
with that.
men. It's good for
For Women's History Month.
okay.
Other than my involvement, but that's okay.
So what day do you think, or is that something you need to?
Let me
Dr.
work with my
Davenport.
staff and see, and I always check the school calendar and
Perfect.
city calendar, everything else. So, but I'm thinking that first week, I mean, it won't be like Monday. I'm thinking it'll be maybe like Wednesday or Thursday of next week. Should mean we'd get something out tomorrow or whatever.
So soon.
Okay,
Well, thank you. That sounds really cool.
Great.
so for,
Wait, real quick, sorry.
yep,
2050 visioning, is that something that we can be a part of in some way, or like, is it more of just like, yeah, I don't quite know how it's being
Yeah,
planned.
that's the 5th. That would make it more than just city. It could definitely open it up a little bit more. Let me look at that. Let me
I guess, like, is there a specific way in which we can be involved as a committee, or is it more of like we as individuals participate in whatever? Because I know that you have multiple levels of engagement.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think any of the individual city committees are really participating. It's just the mayor and I, and we're kind of representing the interests of
Okay.
everybody.
So then, but there's opportunity for us as individuals to be
Yes.
able to get involved.
Yep,
with
there's
the-
actually a survey online that'll be going out soon. They're doing some one-on-ones with individual groups, and so yeah, there'll be ways for individual members community members to participate. Yeah.
Okay, cool, sounds good. And then to recap, we're here, I guess I don't quite know what to do.
So I was just gonna recap real quick.
Oh.
Based on what I know for next month. So we're gonna review 2 proclamations. We're gonna review several social media posts and the template for future social media posts.
And then kind of talk a little more about goals.
I think so.
And I'm assuming though, there's more things we want to do and just kind of figuring out, having that conversation about the recognition of the land acknowledgements and stuff, and like coming to a thought on that. Cause like I could go either way. But does that sound?
We had mentioned at the end of the year that maybe we needed a working session.
Yeah,
I don't know if that
I
might.
think that was more in line with the handbook stuff.
I mean, the thing about these meetings is they don't have to, like, we'll have like actual action items that we're doing, like reviewing something. But if a member or several members want to be like, I just want to have a discussion about this to see if it's something we want to pursue future, and it's just a conversation, that can be, there doesn't have to be an attachment, or someone can say, hey, I really want to talk about this at the next meeting. Can you put it on the agenda? And we can do that. So like, it doesn't necessarily, doesn't have to be like a special session. We can just have conversations about things.
And to clarify, like, the reason why I'm asking this is just so that we can have a clear plan. It felt like we mostly were just doing calendar last year, and I think the year before as well. But I know that there are other things that we haven't even tried to explore, even though we've been interested in them, as like those examples that are in the mission goal statement stuff. And so like, I want us to try to, well, we both have said we would like us to figure out what it is that we actually want to do. And then we think that it would be a good idea to kind of present some of that to council to say, hey, just like looking at the strategic plan, like, do you have other suggestions about things that we could be doing, like, and ideas that might not be in our goals that we can, because like the thing is like, we serve the council, but they haven't really directed anything to us since the first year, when it was just proclamation after proclamation after proclamation.
I was gonna say, are we allowed to have more input into like what else is happening in other parts of the council, as in like the Parks Board or whatever, the inclusivity can look at, say something is happening and be like, from a different viewpoint, well, are they also considering this, this, and this? Because I feel like there's all these things happening in council, but then it's all separate, and if there's some overlap, I feel like we could have some good ideas that could be shared with other areas.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be good next meeting even to do a report on the strategic plan. So at least this body's very familiar with the priorities for the council for the upcoming year. And maybe a part of that could, maybe part of it could even discussion about this year's priorities and kind of an update, status update on here's what council's trying to get done for this year, here's where we're at, here's what we're looking at for next year that just got approved and those things. And that might lead to discussions about, oh, okay, on that priority of that project, let's set some time apart to talk about park improvements or playground and structure or accessibility to trails or whatever it might be, right? Yeah, I think that'll help, because we have to be a little bit careful that the council's going this direction. We can't be like, and this, and this, and this, right?
Yeah.
But if we know the council's going here and they've got these 10 or 12 things they're working on, and we could provide input onto that, then that adds to as opposed to takes away from, right?
Or even if one thing gets adopted from your 10 ideas that you're like, well, here's our ideas. If one thing gets adopted, that's better than nothing, and it's still getting a different viewpoint.
Yeah, I think we definitely are getting better at diffusing out the strategic plan to kind of extend beyond just the council, what they're doing. But part of two, like we have Councilor Andrade, like very well represents the thoughts and kind of where this committee is on the city council when we're planning for strategic planning. I mean, she definitely makes a point. She doesn't talk a lot about transportation. She talks a lot about inclusivity and the things that she's on the committees for. That's what she focuses on more. Like Rich Salsa is on the transportation, and then even our regional transportation, he talks more about city goals and objectives around transportation as well as other things. But so yeah, I wouldn't say that you're not represented at the council level. I think Councilor Andrade does a great job of that. And in the past, Councilor Crocker has as well, and Christopher, the mayor, did as well. So, but I think we can be more intentional in the committees being more aware of what the council's working on by, like I said, I think if next month we did an update on council priorities, that'll help move things forward.
And potential like a review, like a round, one of the rounds of review coming here potentially, depending on what the document is and how technical or what have you.
Okay. Well, I have like 30 more thoughts, but I'm not going to share any of them
Sorry.
because I want to go home. So, I want to thank you all for being here, sharing your thoughts, and please, if things come up, if you're listening to council meetings or you're talking to people in the community and things come up that you want to bring here, please don't hesitate to email Jessica or I, see if there's a way we can discuss those as a group, get those on the agenda. I very much want this to be conversation and all of that. So, yeah.
For sure.
Cool. Well, meeting adjourned. We're done. 7:15.